Murder of Selena/Selena's legacy. I've liked Selena, however, I wasn't born yet while Selena was murdered. As I like Selena, it's in popular Tejano music. I heard Selena as a teenager. Let's start at the based on murder of Selena. On the morning of March 31, 1995, the American singer Selena Quintanilla Perez was fatally shot and wounded at the Days Inn in Corpus Christi, Texas. Although paramedics tried to revive Selena, she was pronounced dead of hypovolemic shock at Corpus Christi Memorial Hospital at 1:05 p.m. at age 23. The killer, Yolanda Saldivar, was an American nurse and the president of Selena's fan club who was exposed as having embezzled thousands of dollars from the singer's earnings. On March 30, 1995, Selena contacted Leonard Wong about the perfume samples he had made for her. According to Wong, the singer told him she would be meeting Saldivar the next morning to pick up the samples that had been stolen from her. That same day, Selena told an employee at the boutique she was expecting to fire Saldivar. The employee followed Selena to her home that night because she was concerned about the singer after their discussion about Saldivar. At 7:30 a.m. CST, on March 31, Selena left for Saldivar's motel room. At the motel, Saldivar told Selena she had been raped in Mexico. Selena took her to Doctors Regional Hospital, where medical staff noticed Saldivar showed clear symptoms of depression. Saldivar told medical staff she had bled a little, to which Selena angrily responded that Saldivar had told her the opposite, that she was bleeding profusely the day before. Nurse Carla Anthony informed Saldivar she needed to travel to San Antonio to obtain a gynecological examination because she was a resident of San Antonio. The hospital was in Corpus, and the rape occurred outside the country. While driving back to the motel, Selena told Saldivar it would be best if they stayed apart for a while to avoid upsetting Abraham. According to Martinez, the singer tried to contact him that morning but was unavailable due to performing surgery. At 10 a.m. CST, Abraham contacted Perez to determine Selena's whereabouts. She was due to record a song at Q Productions that morning and had not arrived. He called Selena on her cellular phone and reminded her of the scheduled recording. She told him she had forgotten the session and was taking care of one last item of business and would be at Q Productions soon after. This was the last telephone call Selena answered and the last time Perez spoke to his wife. At the motel room, Selena and Saldivar began arguing, which other motel guests overheard. Selena told Saldivar she could no longer be trusted, and demanded the return of her financial papers. Selena then dumped Saldivar's satchel containing bank statements onto the bed and saw the revolver. At 11:48 a.m. CST, Saldivar pointed her weapon at Selena. As Selena tried to flee, Saldivar fired a bullet into her lower right shoulder, puncturing an artery and causing her to bleed profusely. Trinidad Espinoza, the motel's maintenance man, reported hearing a loud bang, which he likened to a car backfiring. Selena fell to the floor at 11:49 a.m. CST, as hotel general manager Barbara Schultz summoned emergency services. The singer told the staff, "Lock the door. She'll shoot me again." She identified Saldivar as her assailant and gave the number of the room where she had been shot. Selena was mortally wounded, and terrified when she identified Saldivar, having said her last words Yolanda. Room 158. Her condition began to deteriorate rapidly as motel staff attended to her. Motel sales manager Ruben De Leon tried talking to Selena but noticed she was beginning to lose consciousness. He said she was moaning and moving less often. He noticed Selena's eyes had rolled back and that she went limp. An ambulance arrived at the scene in 1 minute and 55 seconds. Paramedics tore away the blood-stained green sweater and applied Vaseline gauze to Selena's wound, which stopped the surface bleeding. Her heartbeat was very slow. One paramedic performed cardiopulmonary resuscitation to keep her blood circulating. Paramedic Richard Fredrickson said it was too late when he arrived in the lobby. He found a thick pool of blood from her neck to her knees, all the way around. On both sides of her body. Fredrickson could not detect a pulse. He felt only muscle twitches when he placed his fingers on her neck. A paramedic tried inserting an intravenous needle into Selena, but her veins had collapsed because of the massive blood loss and low, or no, blood pressure, making the insertion extremely difficult. Local police closed off Navigation Boulevard. When paramedics delivered Selena to Corpus Christi Memorial Hospital at 12 p.m. CST, her pupils were fixed and dilated, there was no evidence of neurological function, she had no vital signs, and was declared clinically brain dead. Doctors were able to establish an erratic heartbeat long enough to transfer her to the trauma room. Doctors began blood transfusions in an attempt to re-establish blood circulation after opening Selena's chest and finding massive internal bleeding. Selena's right lung was damaged, her collarbone was shattered and her veins were emptied of blood. Doctors widened her chest opening, administered drugs into her heart, and applied pressure to her wounds. Dr. Louis Elkins, a cardiac surgeon, arrived at Memorial Hospital and said he saw doctors making heroic efforts to revive Selena. He described the singer as being extremely confused and shredded. The right side of her chest, all the tissue was ripped. By the time Elkins arrived, an emergency doctor began massaging her heart after it had stopped beating. Elkins reported how all efforts were futile and said had he been the receiving doctor, he would not have made any treatments on Selena. He felt obligated to continue after the emergency room doctor decided to reanimate the singer. Elkins said a pencil-size artery leading from the heart had been cut in two by the hollow point bullet and that 6 units of blood from the transfusion had spilled out from her circulatory system. A breathing tube was administered after Selena stopped breathing on her own, while a clamp was placed on her gushing pierced artery on her collarbone. After 50 minutes, the doctors realized the damage was irreparable. Selena was pronounced dead at 1:05 p.m. CST. At age 23, from blood loss and cardiac arrest. During the third hour after the shooting, an autopsy was performed due to overwhelming media interest. It revealed that the bullet had entered Selena's upper right back, near her shoulder blade, passed through her chest cavity, severed the right subclavian artery, and exited her right upper chest. It took minutes from the point of impact of the bullet that Selena lost virtually all the blood in her body, which contributed to her rapidly bleeding to death. Doctors said that if the bullet had been only 1 millimeter higher or lower, the wound would have been less severe. When San Antonio radio station KDAM broke the news of Selena's death, many people assumed the staff were lying because the next day was April Fool's Day. Other major Spanish-language radio stations in San Antonio, including Tejano 107, KXTN-FM and KRIO-FM, began monitoring developments. Radio stations in Texas began playing Selena's music nonstop and taking telephone calls from distressed fans. Selena's death was front-page news in the New York Times for 2 days, and was featured prominently on BBC World News. News of the singer's death reached Japan, where David Byrne first heard of the shooting. 100, Univision and Telemundo were among the first national news stations to arrive at the crime scene. Coverage of the singer's death and the murder trial dominated American newscasts in 1995. Carlos Lopez of KMIQ 105.1 told the Corpus Christi Caller-Times that Tejano music is dead for at least today and compared the reactions to Selena's death to reactions to the Wall Street crash of 1929 and called March 31, 1995, Black Friday. The media response the murder received was unprecedented for a Latin artist, and Hispanic writers expressed how the mainstream media typically ignored people from the border. American actress Jennifer Lopez was cast to play Selena in the 1997 biopic film about her life. This choice drew criticism because Lopez's ancestry is Puerto Rican rather than Mexican. After the film's release, fans changed their views on Lopez after seeing her performance in the movie. Lopez became famous after the film's release. Selena, The series is an American biographical drama streaming television series created by Moises Zamora and starring Christian Serratos. The series was released on Netflix on December 4, 2020. The second and final part of the series premiered on May 4, 2021. Networks competed with each other to interview Saldivar about the shooting. When the news came out that Araras was able to interview her, Univision was inundated with requests to use the interview from major networks as far away as Germany. The interview on Primer Impacto was watched by 4.5 million viewers. It was the most watched program that night according to the Nielsen ratings, and became one of the most watched Spanish-language programs in American television history. The news of Selena's death deeply affected the Latino community. Many people traveled thousands of miles to visit Selena's house, boutiques, and the crime scene. Hispanics throughout the United States reportedly mourned the singer as far away as New York City and Los Angeles. By mid-afternoon, police were asked to form a detour as a line of automobiles began backing up traffic from the Quintanillas' house. On the street where Selena had lived, gang graffiti and cacti distinguished the blue-collar community from other subdivisions across America. Soon after learning of Selena's death, people began speculating about the identity of her murderer. Some fans thought Emilio Navera's wife had shot Selena. They believed she was jealous of Selena and Navera's relationship. Johnny Pasilius, Emilio's brother-in-law and manager, frantically called radio stations in an attempt to quash the rumor. Among the celebrities who believed the rumor were record producer Manny Guerra, Pete Rodriguez, and American singer Ramon Hernandez. According to anchorwoman Araras, Selena's death became the most important news story of the year for Latinos. Texas Monthly editor Pamela Koloff wrote that reactions to her death were equivalent to those following a political assassination. Reactions were compared to those that followed the deaths of John Lennon, Elvis Presley, and John F. Kennedy. Following Selena's death, the Tejano music market suffered and its popularity waned. Radio stations in the United States that played Tejano music switched to regional Mexican music, and by 1997, KQQK was the only radio station playing non-stop Tejano music. By the mid-2000s, radio stations in the United States no longer played Tejano music, large auditoria stopped hosting Tejano artists by 2007, and major record companies abandoned their Tejano artists after 1995. Selena remains the best-selling Tejano artist of all time and continues to outsell living Tejano artists. She remains the only Tejano musician whose recordings continue to chart on the U.S. Billboard 200 chart. After her death, Tejano music was replaced with Latin pop as the most popular Latin music genre in the United States. On April 12, 1995, 2 weeks after Selena's death, then Texas Governor and future U.S. President George W. Bush declared her birthday Selena Day in Texas. Bush said Selena represented the essence of South Texas culture. On Selena Day, approximately 1,000 fans gathered at her grave and began singing traditional Mexican folk songs. Police were brought in to control the crowd. On the same day, a crowd of 3,000 attended an organized Mass of the Resurrection for Selena at Johnnyland Concert Park. This is 30 years since Selena was fatally shot and killed by Yolanda Saldivar. She denied parole, and parole is due in 2030.